Hi, I'm Phil Long. I'm from the Faculty of Education, and I'd like to talk to you about inclusive assessment. Inclusive assessment is something which the university has an obligation to commit to under the terms of the Special Education Needs and Disabilities Act, which came into force in December 2006. Essentially what it means is that where you have students who have a specific learning difficulty, in terms of assessment, we have to make, and the phrase they use is reasonable adjustment. In short, what it means is assessment tasks mustn't discriminate against any group or any individual in the way the task is organised. Let me give you an example. If you think about the language of assessment, by and large, it's written for the benefit of external examiners and people such as validation panels. It's not usually written for students. And this is particularly problematic in areas such as module learning outcomes against which the students will be assessed. So one of the most useful things we can do in terms of developing inclusive assessment is to spend time with the students ensuring that they have complete understanding of the learning outcomes, the assessment criteria, and exactly what that means. In effect, we translate one form of language into another. If you find yourself working with a student that has a specific learning difficulty, one of the things to recognise is that that student is the expert in their area. They know what that learning difficulty is like, they know what they need for support. So inclusive assessment requires us to spend time working with our students, often on an individual basis, to ensure that they are able to fully access the learning and the assessment processes that we're asking them to take part in. Quite often, students will have an experience of assessment if they have learning difficulties, which might best be described as an alternative approach. In this case, they're given an alternative piece of work to do, or, for example, they might be given additional time in an exam. The research which has been conducted in this area suggests that these approaches don't always necessarily work to the advantage of the student, and students will often complain that they felt isolated and not included in the class or in the assessment process. So a more effective model of assessment would be one in which students are given a flexible range of assessment processes. I've done this with my own work, in which students have been given a choice in the form of assessment. They've been able to choose from an essay or a group project or a patchwork text, and this has been welcomed by our external examiner, and it's also been approved by the head of our AQSO office. In short, assessment which is inclusive works from a student point of view. It needs to be clearly understood, it's better if it can be flexible, and above all, it has to be fair.